Hello and welcome to Pop of Passion. Join me, Jax Barker, comedian and highly sensitive person, along with a guest every other week as we delve into our deepest passions, from being a plant dad to conquering insecurity with comedy. If you relish the memory of an unexpected late-night conversation with a stranger about their obscure passion, the kind where you have tears in your eyes one second and are doubled over laughing the next, this is the podcast for you. Hello and welcome to Pop of Passion. I'm Jax Barker and I'm so glad you're here. My guest today has seen Cardi B naked. She's a senior writer at Rolling Stone with a focus on pop music and fandom. She hosts the Amazon Music podcast, Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Albums. Please welcome to Pop of Passion, Brittany Spanos.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. It's a holiday, it's very impressive that you took the time, so I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, Brittany, what is your passion?
My passion is standing out.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I had to think like what it was going to be because I didn't want it to be like writing,
Right.
That's just my job, But like, I was like, what am I passionate about? But I do like doing things to like stand out.
Yeah, you're a Leo, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense. It was written in the stars that you would be born to stand out.
Yeah.
So what does standing out mean to you? Like, what's an example of that?
I think like, especially, I was thinking of it in terms of like a lot of conversations I've had with a couple of my friends recently about like how the idea of like being perceived, and like the idea of like, I think there's like this very popular sentiment of being like, I don't want to be perceived, or I don't want like, to stand out and to be sort of like loud with like how I express myself or like, dress and things like that. And I'm like, I've always really liked kind of doing things that allow me to be perceived in a way and like kind of are able to put me not in like the shadows of the world and no longer being like shy about things. So a personal growth element of it, but yeah.
That's so cool. I met you, it was like very early on in college, but I am lucky enough to be Facebook friends with your mother. So I have seen photos of you as a child because she's so nice to share them once in a while. And I could see that from an early age. You were like, here I am.
Yeah.
Ready to stand out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was an only child too. So that,
Yeah, the Leo only child, it was a double whammy. But it's great.
Kind of, yeah, I think there's a lot of attention from adults in my life. So I was like, okay, like only child, here I come. But like, as you get older and you like go through your teens or whatever, you're like, okay, like I should conform more, like dress more like this or whatever. And I think like a big part of growing up and getting to know myself has been like, I like being like a little eccentric with things that I like wear, like how I express myself, or like being able to like be who I am versus like the idea of like what I'm supposed to be,
Yeah. You went to a Catholic high school. Did you have a uniform?
Yes. Yeah.
That's so interesting because you keep saying like, especially in terms of dressing, you want to stand out, but for those 4 years you were told what to wear.
Yeah.
So were there
not
any
even
ways?
For it was my entire life. I was
in
Catholic school. Yeah. Well, like preschool until college, but yeah.
So did you ever like do anything to make yourself stand out within your uniform?
Well, we really couldn't, like it was pretty strict in high school and in elementary school too, to a degree. Obviously high school they had a lot more rules because people were figuring out how they wanted to express themselves, and like, like girls wanted to show more body and like guys wanted to like, like wear like, dumb shit. Like they became very strict with that. But it was funny because I even like when I came to New York and like was preparing for it, like I literally just like didn't have clothes. Like I had only t-shirts because we couldn't wear non-crew neck shirts, for example, for dress down days because they thought it was too low cut to wear like a V-neck if you're a girl, and we couldn't wear you can like paint your nails non-neutral colors, and you couldn't dye your hair, wear makeup. Like it was like very, like you can do things that were very loud and expressive. And we had like very few dress down days, so it wasn't really a concern, but I just like did not have clothes. And I also did speech in high school, so I wore suits every weekend for that. Wow. So it's really funny to like shop for college, because I was like, I literally don't know how to dress myself, because I just don't know what people wear.
Yeah. And then you were like in Washington Square Park and everyone's wearing whatever the hell. And you were like, okay, well, we're doing it. Do you have any memories of like favorite outfits from like those first couple months of college?
None of them.
None you'd like to recall.
None I'd like to. I like sometimes look back on the clothes that I had freshman year of college, and it was very 2010, like a lot of like tunics and shit. Like it was just like not anything that I would wear. I had a couple cute dresses. I will say that. Like I had a couple cute like going out dresses. But they also were kind of like homecoming-ish, because I didn't know how else to dress when you went out. So it was like a, little peplum situation.
Oh my gosh, peplum was so big.
Like a lot of leggings and Uggs and things, just that very, very 2010.
Totally.
I just came here from the Midwest
vibe,
but yeah.
Well, can you think about like, who was an example do you of someone who stood out when you were younger, who you were like, oh, they stand out and I kind of want to emulate them?
I think like, because I've always loved pop music, so it's like always like pop stars who were weird and like, did stuff that felt just like very forward thinking and like very, kind of against the grain of what everyone else was doing. Like I also like really like a lot of rock music too, and like a lot of, stuff like that. And that was kind of always felt so unique. And I think just because that world was so different, like the music world and like entertainers and what they were doing was so different from what everyone else I knew was doing, because everyone I knew was in Catholic school. Like that was my entire social circle. And like, it was just like, everyone is, we all have to do these things and we all have to like wear the same way. But then I can look at like, I don't know, like System of a Down, or like, also like Hillary Duff or something. Like, people like I just like loved, Avril Lavigne, like people I loved when I was like 10. I was like, oh, they're just kind of, their entire aesthetic is like about doing something like against the mold. Like that's like what every song is about, and like, stuff like that. So stuff like, that was very influential in how I looked at the world and wanted to be perceived in the same way that like a pop star would be perceived. So,
right. You were like Lizzie McGuire before she went to Rome. Before the pop star.
I had not yet been to Rome.
Right.
I had not met my doppelganger yet.
Yeah. Wow. I just think like those years of like late high school, early college are so formative in terms of so many things. It's like your style. That's like, now everyone's telling us like we can't have a side part. We have to have a middle part. And it's like, no, but like I've already decided who I am and I'm going to have a side part. And it's like the music we listen to during those couple years, I feel like that's always going to be like our soul.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like,
definitely.
You can come to new things, but like when that song comes on and you're in like a grocery store, you're in wherever you are, it's like, oh my gosh, you're transported back to like 19 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's like all of those songs are just so defining to like what I even like in music. Like it's no matter how many times my taste changed as I got older, and it's like the stuff that I loved when I was under the age of 13, especially. Well, I don't know. I guess like generally under the age of 18, like before I was like, an adult and being like, okay, like these things are like from my youth and I can no longer carry them with me. And it's like, no, like that's like what I loved. And that's what I go back to. And that's why I like the things I like now. Like, and that's so important with everything, is like, it's all kind of like a nostalgia circle, whether we realize it or not, and like keep going back to all of those things. But yeah, I definitely feel like it's still very defining for my taste. Everything that I loved as a teenager and as a even younger kid, like being obsessed with NSYNC and like being obsessed with Britney Spears, like that still matters to me.
Totally. And it's like you've parlayed it into a career where you talk about fandom.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. I've talked a couple times on the podcast about like, you know, in order to, like, everyone has a passion, but to get paid for your passion is like, I can't imagine that. So like, it's so cool that you get to do that. And it's like you've really taken your niche and like expanded on it, and now you're so successful, and it's amazing. It's been like so cool to see.
Even in like what I cover now, I think for a while I was like, that's not what I should cover. Like I should be covering like, you know, more, I don't know, different stuff or like more like grown things. And I was like, no, I love boy bands and I love like, you know, music that's fun. Like, why wouldn't I cover this stuff? Like, it's not, I don't need to be covering, I know, rock music to be respected or like cover like whatever. I like the older writers that I emulate cover, like that's not the point. Like they were covering the things that made them, you know, feel something and like things that they were passionate about. And I'm passionate about music that's very fun and like, you know.
I remember we saw that the One Direction documentary at the Union Square movie theater. That was so fun, and I've watched it since. And it's like I still feel like I'm 20 years old when I watch that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's just so joyful. And it's like, oh my gosh, and look how these boys have grown. And like, most of them are dads now. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's just amazing to see people grow.
Yeah.
So do you think your passion for standing out, like, do you think that was inspired by like someone in your life at a young age, like a real life figure, like sort of being like, no, push, go stand out? Or do you think it was something inside of you, or where do you think it came from?
Well, I actually like was the reason why I also like was thinking about this too is like a lot of conversations I've had with my friend Courtney is like we've been talking a lot about, because we went to high school together and like we are both plus size, like we've always been. And like, I think for the longest time we were told like to not stand out because of that. And like, I think you're conditioned for a long time. Like if you look not a certain way, like you're not supposed to stand out. And it took a long time for us to unlearn that. And now it's like, I don't know, we're both like the most overdressed people at every single event that we go to. Like we always are like, we dress very differently from each other, but every time we go out, like we're both like literally like full makeup, like doing like, you know, the most insane outfits, things like that. Like it's really just like tits out at every party. Like it's like every you know, it's just like looking cute and doing all of that. But like, I think it's like from that, I don't know, it's a lot of unlearning of things. I think for a lot of people, like it's not just like about being plus size or about being like, you know, having a certain kind of hair or like being a certain whatever. Like it's like, you're kind of told to like conform to this one way of looking, and then everything else makes it impossible to make that, like make it easy for you to stand out or to not conform. So I think that's a big part of it too, is like growing up and just being like, you know what, like I can dress really hot or dress like the way I want to dress. And like, I shouldn't like feel like I cannot do that because there are fewer options for me to choose from. Like I can make it work.
Yeah. I must say today, you're killing it.
Yeah.
And I know it's an audio podcast, you guys, but I'll tell you, she looks great. I just think it's so fun to like, you know, have an idea like, okay, so I'm going to this place tonight and this is what I'm going to wear because I want to get this reaction. I know I do that.
Yeah. Oh, I do that like as far in advance as I possibly can. Like there are things that I have like planned for that I'm like, I know exactly when I'm going to wear this outfit. Like I know there's like this thing happening a month from now. And especially like over the last year, obviously like the way that I plan things is so much, I'm much less spontaneous than I was before because I like basically had like a very small group of people that I could see. And like, it was a lot of planning of like, okay, like we're going to see each other at this thing. What place has like an outdoor thing that we can go to? Will the weather be nice? Like, when do we get tested? Like, so there's a lot of planning already. Then I was like, okay, like, well, what am I going to wear to see these people that I get to see so rarely now? Like, I need to look super nice because I want to like be cute for them, like be cute for my friends. And so I feel like that's still happening so much, even though it's a little bit easier with everyone being vaccinated to make the plans. Like, I'm still a lot of preparation for it. I still know where I'm going to be 2 weeks from now. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to wear for this event 2 weeks from now? Like a friend's birthday or like, you know, a little like picnic or something. Like, I was like, okay.
Right.
Even like my birthday, like I plan like months in advance of like, what am I going to wear?
Yeah. I'm 100% the same way.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so we're launching the podcast on my birthday. The logo is purple. I'm wearing purple. And then I was like shopping for a purple dress. It was like whole ordeal. And then we were like at the party and I was like so overdressed. But I was like, you know what? It's my birthday. I'm allowed to be overdressed. It's, you know what I mean? It's part of life. Do you ever think about like those milestone events like years in the future? Like, have you thought about like, you don't have to share like details, but I'm just wondering, like, if you were to get married, do you know like what you would want to look like?
Oh yeah, I have a Pinterest board.
Yes, like... that's what I'm. Yes, no, same. Yes.
Yeah, like I have no shame in my wedding Pinterest board for like my non-existent husband. Like, of course, like I have already planned out the color scheme, like everything. Like I know no one's gonna have to ask me twice. Like no totally. Planner can do it as good as I can.
Yeah,
like, it's there. But yeah, like there's like a lot of stuff that I definitely, you know, I think there are ways that I've thought of that and like other sort of, I don't know, like dream outfits that I can wear to like events that I can't quite pinpoint what they would be, but like, you know, things that I would like to do that for. But yeah, I don't know. I think I've found for myself a balance between like caring about how I look, but not caring about how I look in the way of like, that is like the basis of how, I don't know, where I like care too much about how people think about how I look.
Right. I think that's for you.
I'm trying to think of like the right way to put it. Yeah. Like it's like for me, and it's for like the people I love too. Like I like to get dressed up for my girls. Like I like to like, you know, look nice and also like amp them up and, you know, encourage them to like feel like they can wear whatever they want around me and like, you know, do whatever, like dress however and feel comfortable with it. So it's like definitely not for the idea of like the world, like how I want them to see and like judge me on it. I'm like, it's like because I look good in it and I feel good in it.
Yeah.
I want to do that. And so there are things that I have like aspirational sort of like these like moments where I'm like, this is like the ultimate time to show out with this kind of stuff or like to be perceived, you know?
Right. I wasn't planning on asking this, but I have to know, if you were to be on the cover of Rolling Stone and you got to pick your outfit, what would you wear? Like if you were to shoot it tomorrow.
Oh,
and like
I don't know.
You don't have a budget.
I don't know, actually. It's like weird because like all my favorite Rolling Stone covers are like a little like naughty, you know? It's like Janet Jackson with like her hands over her boobs or like, you know, it's like stuff like that. And like the Lizzo cover where she's like, you know, in like a see-through floral bodysuit, like stuff like that I love. But like I also, because I've been there for so long and it's like I know everyone who would work on it, I'd be like, I don't, that's like a weird work life separation thing.
Totally.
So I'm like, okay, like my ideal cover if I were like a pop star would be like kind of like a you know, a fun kind of like semi-naked cover, but also like I don't want the photo editors that I've known since I was 22 to like work on this cover. So I'm like, it would have to be a whole different staff.
Totally.
Any other magazine. So it's like I have thought about it and we've like made jokes about it because we also do when people leave, like we like edit their faces onto covers and things like that. So like me and the editors like will like talk about like, okay, like when you leave, like whatever, like this is the cover I want. Like, like this is the one that I want. I'm like, if it were the reality of it being shot, I'm like, I've like known all these people since I was so young. Like it's so weird to think about like if I did that. So yeah, that's like that's a need to be perceived less by a group of people.
Right. You
But
don't
yeah,
need HR
the
getting
covers I love
involved.
are like the kind of like, very like not really
Yeah.
controversial. I guess like the Britney Spears one is kind of controversial, but
Right.
like
That's what
stuff like
came to
that.
my mind. It was Britney
Yeah.
Spears and Janet Jackson, and then I was thinking of the Jessica Simpson pushing the
Yes.
vacuum. It's
Yeah, it would
yeah.
have to be like that style of cover because those are the most fun ones.
Right. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Um so like in your day-to-day life other than clothes, are there any other ways you look to stand out? Like do you use
Yeah,
your
I think like
voice?
yeah, I think it's just I don't know. I think I like to be very as present as I can be in like the lives of people around me, and I like try to like stand out in my work life. And like I think so much of writing today is about standing out. Like you do have to kind of like need people to like read your stories, and you need to like be kind of, I don't know, sometimes it's like for better or for worse. A lot of writing and media today is just like about sort of that like presence online or like presence in that community, larger community. So I do think about it a lot, and I think that's like a place where I'm like, okay, like what does standing out to me mean in terms of that? Because it shifts, because I know that culture is like so weird, but I do care about like people to read my writing, and I would like people to engage with my stories thoughtfully and like look to me as like a writer that they want to read and like care to read. So that is definitely like an area of my life where it's also matters, and in its own ways. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I read pretty much everything you write because I'm like such a fan. But I remember my favorite piece is the Silver Springs um, piece. What would you call it? Is it a retrospective? I don't know, but it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's like
so
not
good.
quite an oral history, but like just like a written through historical
Yeah.
researchy piece.
That's
Just a
like,
feature, I guess.
I never close my like Google Chrome tabs, but like that's always there because like there will just be a Tuesday afternoon and I'll be like, you know what, I should read that again. Gotta check it out. And there are so many things you've written that I'm like, they're just so well written, but it's also your personality comes through. And I think, this idea of standing out comes through because you're doing such a great job at your job, but you're also like shining. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not just about who you're talking to or what you're writing about, but you see your personality and you see this idea of like, I am Brittany. Hear me
Yeah.
roar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think like again, like the sort of media community can be very toxic in a lot of ways, but I think there is a similar sort of like conformity in like, the way that you think about an artist, for example, like critical discourse. And like
Right.
I think there's like, in the ways that the audiences you want to appeal to as a writer. And I think there was periods of my early career where I cared a lot about um, making things that appeal to other writers, and that's not good. Like that's not like a good way to do it. And I think like after a while, I was like, the things that appeal to other writers, like the music that they care about, or like doesn't align with what I want to write about, or like what I actually do care about, and what I feel passionately about, or like what um, you know I can put a lot of positive energy into. And I think it's been, I like don't care so much about like appealing to a certain type of audience. Like I like want to write things that the people who are interested in those things will be drawn to it naturally. And of course that audience is going to be different for every piece. And like um things that I would want to read no matter like who the byline was, like like the Silver Springs piece was like a piece that I was like, I would like to read this, no one has written it, and
Yeah.
this is a song that I am obsessed with, so let me write an obsessive story on it. Like literally spent like months looking into it and researching it because I was so obsessed with that song. And I was like,
Yes.
I need to know the story behind it. Like it will follow me down and haunt me
Oh
if
my
I do
God.
not write the story
Yes.
on it. So that's kind of like a lot of the stuff that I end up writing about is I just kind of become really obsessed with something, and then I'm like, let's go for it.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you do. And you always stand out in the process. So I do have a little fun pop pondering for you. I like to ask every guest a question that has the word pop in it. So the one I chose for you is, pop is slang for pawning goods with a pawnbroker. What is something you would never, not even in dire circumstances, pawn?
Ooh. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I don't know.
Your high school uniform?
Yeah. I like, I think the thing is like a thing that I just created, but is filled with a lot of special things. So I don't know. Maybe this is cheating, but maybe it's not. I made a scrapbook recently, and like, because I just had all these photos that my mom gives me when I go home. Like she always like, she's been like cleaning out the house, and so she'll find all these old like Polaroids and stuff like that. I just kind of like had them staying in my room for a really long time, and didn't really have anything to put them in. And then I was like, what am I going to do with these? And I was like, oh yeah, people scrapbook. Like people like make photo albums. Like that's a thing that people do. And so I had put them all in one scrapbook, and all those photos mean a lot to me. And yeah, because I don't have like a lot of like keepsakes or things like that. And I don't know. There's not like a lot of family stuff that we have, and I know it would like, if that's what I save, it's like that's the most important thing. Everything else is like extra, but those photos,
yeah, that's a great answer. I love that. Is there one like picture in there that you can think of that you're like, I know I was wearing that outfit?
Yeah, a lot of them. A lot of them. I'm like obsessed with all my outfits and all of them. I was a very fashionable baby. And I also was really obsessed with the color pink. So there's like a lot of photos from, I think it was my 4th birthday party, which was pink themed, where I made everyone in my family wear something pink.
Awesome.
And it's funny. It was like, you know, the thing with like everything that you kind of do or liked as a kid comes back and like is there. And that's very much something that I do now, is like have like a theme party or like force everyone to wear a certain outfit. I also love pink still. And so
your nails are pink right now.
My nails are pink right now. Like there's always something pink. Like, so I think that one is really funny because it's like, that's like such like a peak me thing to do that I would do in a heartbeat now. Like I should probably have a pink themed birthday party, to be honest, but like, you know, it's just like that one is almost too on brand, and I love that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's very funny seeing my like everyone in my family in pink. A lot of people who I had never saw in pink again, like literally were forced to buy something for this party that they never wore again in their lives.
That is so cute too, like that you were like 4 and you were like commanding adults. I love that.
Yeah, I did a lot of themed birthday parties as a kid, and have done a lot of themed birthday parties in my 20s. So it really came back. Came back stronger and more intense than ever.
I love that. So fun. So I'm gonna do a passion plug, and I will let you do your passion plug. So today's passion plug is our first Patreon passion plug. It comes from Jane Hynes. She'd like to plug the 2021 Metro Chicago Heart Walk digital experience. And she says, did you know that Chicagoland is home to the country's largest gaps in life expectancy? Heart disease is the leading cause of this gap because social factors like access to healthy food and quality health care are stealing precious years of life away. But this is preventable. So this year, Jane Hynes is joining the American Heart Association's Executives with Heart to lead the way to creating a healthier Chicagoland. If you guys would like to get involved or donate, the walk is in September. You can do it remotely, and I will link to the website to donate if you're able in the show notes. And thank you, Jane Hynes, for being a patron. All right, Brittany, what is your Pop of Passion plug?
I would like to plug Loveland Foundation. It is a really great charity that I started donating to last year, and it supports like therapy funds for Black women and girls. And I am a big fan of therapy, and I think it should be more accessible for everyone, as with all forms of healthcare. And I think it's so many Black women and girls don't have access to it. I think it's a conversation that in a lot of communities is not very open, and I think not always accepted. So I think providing any sort of financial support to this charity and also to the people that it helps is really crucial. Yeah.
Absolutely. It is crucial. Healthcare is huge, and this country has a ways to go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I will link to that in the show notes.
Yeah.
Where can people find you and follow your work?
I am on Twitter, oh hey Brittany, and all of my articles are, if you just Google Rolling Stone Brittany Spanos, and you'll get a link to thousands of articles I've written there for many years of being at Rolling Stone. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brittany, and thank you all for listening to Pop of Passion, produced by Christine Ferrera. Please follow the show on social media at Pop of Passion and at popofpassionpodcast.com. I'm Jax Barker. Go out and be the light, living your passion.